श्रीमद् सद्गुरु सरकार की जय। आनंद मानंद कर प्रसन्नम प्रेम स्वरूपम ब्रज भावयुक्तम योगीन्द्रमीड्यम् भवरोग वैद्यम् गुरुं कृपालुं प्रणमामि नित्यम्। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुर् गुरुर्देवो महेश्वर गुरु साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। कस्तूरी तिलकं ललाट पटले वेणुः करे कंकणम् नासाग्रे वरमौक्तिकं करतले वेणुः करे कंकणम् सर्वांगे हरिचंदनं सुललितम् कंठे च मुक्तावली गोपस्त्री परिवेष्टितो विजयते गोपाल चूड़ामणि वंदे नवघनश्यामम् पीतकौशेय वाससम् सानन्दं सुन्दरं शुद्धं श्रीकृष्णं प्रकृते परम्। नमः कमलनाभाय नमः कमल नमः कमल पादाय नमस्ते कमलेक्षण यो ब्रह्माणं विदधाति पूर्वं यो वै वेदांश्च प्रणिनोति तस्मै तद्वं हा देवमात्मबुद्धिप्रकाशं मुमुक्षुर्वै शरणमहं प्रपद्ये। Inquisitive souls. Now let's do Sankirtan. Sankirtan means loud chanting of the names, the attributes, and the leelas, the pastimes of Bhagwan. गोपाल राधे कृष्ण गोविंद गोविंद। चलिए हम लोग रूप ध्यान करते हैं। रूप ध्यान पूर्वक हम कीर्तन का गान करेंगे। गोपाल राधे कृष्ण गोविंद गोविंद गोपाल राधे कृष्ण गोपाल राधे कृष्ण गोविंद गोविंद राधे गोविंद गोविंद राधे गोविंद बोलिए लाडली लाल की जय। जगत गुरु श्री कृपालु जी महाराज की जय। Devoted listeners, now I request your full attention.
Volume.
Today is the fourth day of the series of talks on the science of devotion. We have so far discovered through the scriptures that devotion is in fact the only path that can lead us to our final goal, our destination, Bhagwan, God realization. We've also found out that devotion is it's a very generous path. It is open to everyone without exception. And it is very easy to practice devotion because God accepts anything that is given to Him. Devotion can be practiced any time, at any place. We've also learned that devotion is to be practiced by the mind, because mind is the only worker that we have. The devotion, the bhakti that we do with our tongue as we chant the names of God, or the bhakti that we do with our ears as we listen to the glory of God, the bhakti that we perform with our eyes, that bhakti, if it has the involvement of the mind and attachment of the mind to God, then that is considered to be bhakti. Otherwise, if only the senses are involved, it is called a physical drill. It is not considered to be bhakti. It is also called anasanga bhakti by Gauranga Mahaprabhu. What we need to do is sasanga bhakti, in which the mind is attached to Sri Krishna. Dhyayato vishayan punsaha sangyasteshu pajayate mamanusmarataschitam mayyeva praviliyate. Bhagwan Sri Krishna tells us, the more you think about the world, the more attached your mind will become to the world, and the more you think of God, the more attached your mind will become to God. It's a very simple formula. It's very understandable. So, we need to practice devotion. We need to do bhakti. And we've understood that mind alone is the one that practices devotion, but we take the help of sense organs. It's good that they are also involved in the practice of devotion, but devotion practiced by them is not considered to be devotion. They're a helpful tool. They help, if the senses are involved, they help the mind to become attached to God. We need to understand how to do bhakti before we can actually start doing it. Or even as we are practicing it, we need to find out whether we're doing it correctly, whether or not we're doing it correctly. So devotion or bhakti means loving God. How do we love God? Well, we already know how to love so many people in the world. We love parents, we love siblings, we love children, we love our friends, those who are married, spouse. We love so many people. We love our things that we have in them. We love other creatures. We do know how to love. We do love others. So it should be easy for us to love God. But it doesn't prove to be easy for us. It has not proven to be easy for us. Because the mind says, well, this is my mother and I must love my mother. I love my mother because she's my own. Bhagavan Sri Krishna says, I am your true mother. I am your true mother because you are the Atma and I am the mother of the Atma. So I am your true mother. The Vedas say, Divyo Deva Eko Mata Pita Bhrata Nivasah Sharanam Suhrit Gatir Narayana Iti Subalok Panishad. Chapter 6, mantra number 4. God alone is the mother, father, brother, the ultimate destination. He is everything to us. And we certainly know the verse, Tvameva Mata Cha Pita Tvameva. You are my only mother, my Lord, my only father, my only brother, my one and only. We must love Him as we love our relatives, our family members. So we do know how to love. So that we may love Him, God descends to earth. There are 3 ways in which we can think about God. We can think of Him as Brahma, as Paramatma, and as Bhagavan. Vadanti tat tattvavidas tattvam yajnanam advayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavaniti shabdyate. Canto 1, chapter 2, verse 11, Bhagavad Mahapuran. This verse tells us that God can be thought of as Brahma, Paramatma, or Bhagavan. But Brahma is really of no use to us as we try to love God, because we cannot love God who is formless. We cannot love something that has no form. We have a form, we have a body. So in order to love someone, we need that someone to have a body. We need someone with a form. We need something with a form. What about Paramatma? Paramatma has a form, Mahavishnu is the form. But Paramatma is extremely intimidating because Paramatma or Mahavishnu is, you can think of Mahavishnu as God who is really being God. Very intimidating, very great, and we feel very hesitant to go near Him. So we stand at a distance and we bow down to Him and we praise Him from a distance, like Dur se namaskar. We don't dare to go near Him because we are too intimidated. He is too great and we are too small. In order for us to love God, God will need to come down to our level. You know, an excellent teacher is the one who comes down to the student's level. We need God to come down to our level in order to love Him. We love people in the world because they are at the same level as us. And even as we love someone, we want to know if their level is the same as ours. A beggar does not expect, a man who's a beggar, he wears rags and he has hardly anything to eat, he has no money to his name, he begs from morning till evening. He does not ever think that he will marry a princess. He doesn't make such a plan because it's very unrealistic, because he's not at that level. Their levels are very different. He's so poor and she's so wealthy. So he doesn't even think of it. He does not have the audacity to even think of marrying a princess. In the world, we look at levels. Financial level, educational level, etc. So we need God to come down to our level before we can really love him. And Shri Krishna does. He does come down, he descends to our level. He takes avatar. Bhagwan takes avatar. Avataranam avataraha. To take avatar means to come down. He comes down to our level. He comes down to earth. He takes birth. And he does much of what we do as humans. We see a child being born, so he takes birth. Of course, everything about him is divine, but from the outside we see that, oh, Yashoda gave birth to a child. That child grows up. Every child has his or her own nature. So this child of Yashoda, Nandan Yashoda, he has a very mischievous nature. Every child is different. So this Kanhaiya is very different from others, just like every child. Every child is unique, and so is Kanhaiya. We see him at different ages. We see him doing many different things. And even when Sri Krishna performs some amazing, very divine feats, people who love him as a friend or as a child, they think that it is only with the grace of the Almighty that this has happened, and that Kanhaiya is just an ordinary boy. And that has to happen. We have to look at him as an ordinary boy, because otherwise we will not be able to love him as our child or as our friend. We will not be able to love him. So he has his friends, the Sakha, the Gwalbal. He has parents, Nand and Yashoda. He has a brother, Balaram. He has the women folk from the neighborhood, the gopis who love him. So he is the darling of the community, of the neighborhood, and of entire Vrindavan. We can relate to him so well. When we listen to his stories, his pastimes, we can relate to him. The mind can fall in love with him, because now there is a form. There are pastimes, there are things that he has done, and we listen to those, we read about those, we talk about those, we see those depictions in movies and in shows, and so we fall in love with him. But the love that we should have for him is very different from how we love the world. We need to understand the true meaning of love. Otherwise, we will be loving him just as we love the world. We would not be truly loving him. We think it's love, but it is not. It is only a selfish relationship, a relationship based on self-interest and the fulfillment of self-interest. हम लोग जिसको प्यार कहते हैं ना संसार में, वो वास्तव में स्वार्थ है. स्वार्थ, लेना देना, ये स्वार्थ हो गया. हमने तुम्हें दिया, अब तुम भी हमें कुछ दो, हम तुमसे कुछ लेना चाहते हैं. In the world, what we call love is a give and take relationship. And give and take is not love. Love means to give and give without expecting anything in return. And that is how we must love Sri Krishna. Otherwise, we would think that loving him means that, okay, I offer him my love and my respect, and I honor him, and he will give me something in return. And isn't that what we have been doing? Maharaj, you are my only one, you are my one and only, and I beg you to give me, and we make a list and we present that list in front of him. Quite often we treat Sri Krishna as a personal ATM machine. Or as our Kamdhenu, the one, the heavenly cow who fulfills all desires. We go to him and we have no hesitation in asking him for so many favors. But that's not love, that is a selfish relationship. It's a business relationship. And Prahlad says to Bhagwan Narsingh, Maharaj, you are asking me that I should desire something from you and you're willing to give me whatever I want. Bhagwan said, yes, that's what I'm saying. Well, Maharaj, I am just a humble servant. मैं तो तुच्छ सेवक हूँ आपका. मुझे आपसे कुछ मांगने का अधिकार नहीं. यस्त आशीष आशास्ते न सभृत्य सवैवणिक. Maharaj, I am a humble servant of yours. I'm a das. Remember on the first day, we had looked at the definition of the word bhakti. Bhaj ityesha vai dhatu sevayam parikirtitah. Bhagwan Vedavyas tells us in Garud Puran that bhakti means to serve. The word bhakti comes from the root word bhaj. Bhaj means to serve. So I am a humble servant of yours, Maharaj. I do not have the right to ask you for anything, but I wish to give you my everything. I want to give. I don't want to take anything from you. मुझे आपसे कुछ लेना नहीं, मुझे आपको अपना सब कुछ देना है. ये है भक्ति, ये है प्यार. In Vishnu Puran, it is said, या प्रीतिरविवेकानां विषयान् श्वयपायिनी. Prahlad says to Bhagwan, Narsingh Bhagwan, Maharaj, may I love you in the same way as a very worldly man loves worldly objects. Tva manusmaratah same hridayan parapastatu. May I love you as a very worldly man loves worldly objects. May I always be thinking of you. Hridayan, in my hriday, in my heart. May you always dwell in my heart. Hridayan ma pasar patu. May I always have you in my heart. That is what I want. I don't want anything else. That is the kind of love that we should have for Sri Krishna. What we have been thinking to be love is just selfishness. It's just business relationship. How can we have a business relationship with our Creator, our Maker, our Lord, our Master, our Beloved, our everything? We should not. In the Bhagavad, we listen to what Vritrasur is asking from Sri Krishna. He says, Nanaka prishtham na cha sarvabhaumam na parameshtyam na mahendra dhishnyam na yoga siddhira punarbhavam va vanchanti yatpadarajah prapannah. Maharaj, I do not want the sovereignty of the entire earth. If you say that you'll make me king of the world, I do not want that. I respectfully decline. I do not wish for that. I do not want even Swargalok. I don't want even Brahmalok, the highest level of Swargalok, Satma Swarg. I don't want that. I do not want the siddhis of the yogi, the yogic powers, through which I can become smaller than the smallest, enter someone's mind, read his mind, and tell him what he's thinking, and gain name and fame like that. I don't want that. I don't want to create miracles and then say to people, look, I can produce things out of thin air. I can become smaller than the smallest. I can become bigger than the biggest. I don't want those powers that will take me away from you. I don't want to be distracted. I only wish to love you. And I do not want anything. So Vritrasur is saying, this is an asur, because he is a demon externally, and internally he's a great devotee of God. He says, I do not want any of these. I just wish to love you. And that is the love that we must have. We must understand what love is. Sant Kabir, a great lover of God, says, Ghate badhe Chin maha so nahi prem kahaye. Love that which goes up and down, and every moment goes up and down. If I get what I want, then I say I love you. If I don't get what I want, then I say I don't love you. That's not prem, that is not love. Love is that which remains constant, and in fact, love is that which is ever increasing. Pratikshanam vardhamanam. That is true love. We are unfamiliar with that love. But before we set out to love Sri Krishna, we must know that this is what love is. It is selfless, nishkam. The devotee does not want the trinkets of the world like name, fame, wealth, good health. And here we are asking God, mere ghutno ko theek kar do. Please fix my knees, fix my blood pressure, please. Give me good health, fix my headache, give me more money, get me a better job, give me a good daughter-in-law, a good son-in-law. Oh, how many things we ask from God. Help me win this baseball game. Help me win this competition. Help me pass my exams. Sounds familiar, I think, right? And that is what we have been calling love. I mean, come on, we are intelligent people. We pride ourselves on being intelligent. Is this what love is? Even a very foolish person would be able to tell, this is not love. We've been thinking we are great lovers of God. We are not, if we are asking for this and that. A true lover of God, a true devotee, does not even ask for liberation. Vritrasur says, I don't want even liberation. Even liberation is not desired, because bhagati karati soi mukuti gosai anaichhit avat bari ai. Tulsidas ji says, you don't have to ask for liberation. That will be given to you anyhow. You will be liberated from the material world, but you don't have to ask for it, because a true devotee does not ask for anything. Not for the world, not for Swargalok, not for liberation. Nothing. And why should we ask? Yes, we love him as our everything, but we know he is God, and God is yes sarvagya sarvavidyasya jnanamayan tapah. The Vedas say God is sarvagya, he's all-knowing. So the all-knowing one, the one who knows everything, why are we sending him reminders? Maharaj, just in case you're busy, just in case you forgot, yes, you're sarvagya, but I don't really believe that, so I'm going to give you reminders. Why do we give him reminders? When the fact is that we don't know what's good for us, and he knows exactly what we need. We don't understand what we need. But he does. So why don't we just trust him to give us what we need and what we don't need? For us, what happens is we don't make a distinction between need and greed. We say, these are my needs, and actually God says, oh, that's your greed, those are not your needs. Those are not your needs, that is greed. And Sri Krishna says in the Bhagavad, Yavat bhriyeta jatharam tavat swatvam hi dehinam adhikam yo bhimanyet sasteno dandamarhati. O humans, you are entitled to the amount of wealth that is absolutely necessary for a basic living. As long as your stomach is full, as long as you have a roof over your head, as long as your basic needs are being met, then that is all you're entitled to. I'm not giving you the right to possess any more, because, and if you choose to have more, if you choose to keep more than you need, then sasteno dandamarhati. I shall consider you to be a thief. जो अधिक रखेगा अधिकम यो अभिमन्येत सस्तेनो दंड मरहति. जो अपनी आवश्यकताओं की पूर्ति जितने में हो जाए उससे अधिक धन अपने पास रखता है, उसको मैं चोर मानता हूं और उसको दंड अवश्य देता हूं. So God is telling us very, very clearly in the scriptures what we are entitled to. But we don't think like that. Our stomach is full, but our mind is not. We want more and more. Jo prati labh lobh adhikai. Ramayana says, the more you have, the more you want. So should we not give the authority to Bhagavan Shri Krishna to decide what he will give us and what he will deprive us of? We should. We don't know what is in our destiny. That's another point. We don't know what we have brought along with us from our previous births, the actions that are now bearing fruit in this life. We have no idea. We don't know what we are deserving of right now. In the Bhagavad, there is a story about a king, Chitraketu was his name. He had many, many queens, but not a single child. And he and the queens were miserable. So one day he was visited by sages like Narad, and he said to Narad Muni, Bhagavan, please, you have the power, please give me at least one child. And Naradji said, it's not meant for you to have a child. A child is not in your destiny. Maharaj, you can change my destiny. Narad Muni said, if I do that, you will suffer in the end, because you're not meant to have a child. Maharaj, I don't know anything, but please give me a child. So Narad Muni said, Tathastu. And in due course of time, one of his queens had a child. And the king is beside himself with joy. And one of the queens is very happy, the one who is expecting the child. But all the others became very jealous, because now this one is going to be the favorite of the king. So the child was born, and there were great celebrations all over the kingdom. The king's happiness knew no bounds. The child grew up, and he was very small when all the other queens held a secret meeting and they decided to poison the child. The story is in the Bhagavad. They poisoned the child died, and now there was no end to the king's grief and to the queen's grief. There was no end to his grief. Once again, Narad Muni appeared and said, O king, I told you, Chitraketu, I had cautioned you that it is not meant for you to have a child. So it did not end well for you. We do not know what's in our destiny. Why are we forcing God to give us what is not in our destiny? And I do not mean to say that everything that happens in life is according to destiny. It is according to what we have done in the past. No. More importantly, we must dwell on what we can do at present. But there are certain things that are predestined for us. And if something is not predestined for us, and we are asking God for it, He will never give it to us. And then when He does not give us something, we say, I don't like you. I don't have faith in you. And we say that as if, and we say, you have one less devotee now. As if Shri Krishna will start crying and say, boo-hoo, I have one less devotee. He does not need devotees. We need Him. We need Bhagwan. He does not need us. No doubt He loves us, but He does not need us to fulfill Him. He does not need devotees. The devotee needs Him. So then we become angry when we think that He's not fulfilling our desires. We become even atheists. We say, I don't believe in you. I don't believe in you because you didn't give me what I wanted. But that's not what God is there for. But we have misunderstood our relationship with God. So as we try to love God, we must understand that selfishness has to be cast aside. Selfishness has to come to an end. We must have a different relationship with God. The relationship perhaps that we have not had so far. It must be a relationship based on love. How much He loves us. We hardly think of Him, and He's always thinking of us. Always giving us, and we don't even realize what He's giving us, what He's doing for us. But he says, never mind, I love you, my child, and even though you don't accept, even though you're not feeling grateful, I don't get any gratitude from you, you don't think of me, you don't thank me, even then, it's all right. I will give you what you need to live on. He gives us a mind, He gives us an intellect, He gives us the abilities to see, hear, taste, touch, and smell the world. He gives us the abilities to think and to take decisions, right? So He gives us so much, He does so much for us, and we are not even looking towards Him. So He loves us so much, we should love Him also. Just because He is our own. That's it. You are my own, and I don't need any other reason. You ask a child, why do you love your mommy? She's my mommy. Why do you love your father? He's my father. Meaning it's obvious I must love him. Of course I love him. It's natural for me to love him. He's my father. He's our mother, father, brother, sister, beloved, everything rolled up into one. How much love we should have for him. How much love. There should be no end to the love we have for him. Mainly, there are 4 ways in which we should love him. We should accept him as our Lord and our Master, Mother and Father. This relationship should be there. Dasya bhav, that means we love him as Lord and Master, and also Mother and Father. We must love him as our friend. That is relationship number 2, that is Sakhya bhav. We should love him as our child, that's relationship number 3, and that is Vatsalya bhav. And we should love him as our beloved, that is number 4, and the highest relationship, and that is the Madhurya bhav. We must love him in every possible way. But then our mind says, I've never seen him, I don't know how to love him. I haven't seen him. How can I love him? But we have seen him. God has come to this world countless times, and we have come here countless times. Bahuni me vyatitani janmani tavacha Arjuna. Bhagwan Shri Krishna says to Arjun, Arjun, you and I have taken birth countless times. The only difference is I remember each and every one of my births, while you remember none of them. We remember none of our previous births, but he remembers all of his and all of ours as well. So we did see him, but when we saw him, we see others as we are ourselves. Isn't that so? If you are good, you see everyone as being good. If someone is good, he sees everyone as being good. Everyone's got good in them. And if he is bad, he thinks everyone is really bad, corrupt, evil. There's a Russian folklore about a man who went to a city, a town, and at the outskirts of the town there was a wise man, and this man said, Maharaj, oh holy man, oh holy sir, I had to leave my town for work and I wish to settle in this town. So what are the people like in this town? And the holy man asked him, what were the people like in the town that you just left? And the man said, they were wonderful people, good people, pious people, helpful people. They were really good. Then the holy man said, well, welcome to this town, because people in this town are just like that. Sometime later, another man came and he said to the holy man, holy sir, I wish to settle in this town because I've come here for work. Please tell me, should I settle here? What are the people like over here? And again, the holy man asked, what were the people like in your town where you have been living? And he said, there was not a good one in the bunch. They were all bad. They were all really evil. There's terrible people. And I wish to settle somewhere where there are good people. So they were all terrible people, and I'm glad I had to leave that town. Please tell me how people are in this town. And the holy man said, you should move on, because people in this town are exactly like that. They're all bad. They're not helpful at all. They're just not good. So you don't belong over here. You need to look somewhere else. If we are good, the whole world is good. हम अच्छे हैं, सारा संसार अच्छा है. हम खराब हैं, संसार में कोई भी अच्छा नहीं है. So in the same way, when God comes to earth, if we are good, we see him as a good person. If we are devoted people, we see him as God, that he's my Ishtadev. If we are not so good, not so bad, we say, ठीक है, कोई खास बात नहीं है. I don't know what Durvasa Muni is going on and on about, that he's God, but I don't see anything special, he's okay. Some people saw him as being evil, some people saw him as being God, some people didn't even see anything, they just saw light. These are the Gyanis, they didn't see a form. The yogis saw him as Paramatma. That's what happened when Sri Krishna and Balram went to the amphitheater, to fight with the wrestlers, the wrestling match that Kunj had arranged with the intention of killing Krishna and Balram. When Krishna and Balram went into the amphitheater, there were thousands of people seeing them, and everyone saw them differently. Everyone saw Sri Krishna differently. There were young ladies of a very loving temperament. They saw Sri Krishna and they fell in love with him as their beloved. There were older ladies and they saw him and they wanted to rush up to him and protect him. For to them, he seemed like a little child. The evil kings present there, they became afraid. They started trembling with fear because they saw their own death in him. They saw him as Yamraj. The devotees saw him as their Ishtadev. The yogis saw him as Paramatma. The Gyanis saw him as the impersonal absolute. They saw only light on the stage. That's all they saw. So, Jaki rahi bhavana jaisi, Prabhu Murati dekhi tin taisi. Ramcharit Manas. So we did see him, but we saw him as we were. So we did not recognize him. Avajananti mam mudha manushim tanumashritam param bhav majananto mama bhuta maheshwaram. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 9, verse 11. Shri Krishna says, Arjun, when I descend to earth, people of the world do not recognize me. They do not recognize me as who I am. So we cannot say that we have not seen him. We have, but we did not recognize him. And then we think that, if Sri Krishna were to just do me a huge favor, we say, Sri Krishna, Kanhaiya, do me a huge favor. Just come in front of me, stand in front of me, and then I'll be able to love you. That will not happen. Because when we see him, with our material eyes, he will seem very material to us. He will seem like a worldly boy or a worldly man to us. We will not be able to see his divinity. Dadami divyam te chakshuhu. Shri Krishna said to Arjuna, here, I'm giving you divine eyes, divine eyesight. Now behold me as God. And Arjuna was able to see Shri Krishna as God. Our eyes are not divya, they're not divine. We will see only a worldly boy, a worldly person, and we will not recognize him all over again. So what should we do? We must love him, we should love him by doing Roop Dhyan. We should do Roop Dhyan. We should visualize him. But how? What does he look like? Well, he looks like the way you want him to look like. And Shri Krishna says this in the Bhagavad. Tasmat kenapyupayen manah Krishne niveshayet. Think of me in any which way. You can think of God any which way. Yena kena prakarena manah Krishne niveshayet. Bhakti rasamrit sindhu. Yena kena prakarena. Jaise taise. Unke baare mein socho. What does he look like? What do you want him to look like? We all have our own idea of what beautiful is. What is beautiful? One says, I want, someone to love someone. I want that person to be of my height, or I want someone to be much taller than me. I want a great height. Another says, I don't mind someone who's short. Another says, I think that curly hair is very beautiful. Another says, curly hair? No, straight hair. Another says, blue eyes. Another says, brown eyes. One says that, this shape of nose. Another says, no, that shape. Short hair, long hair. Short hair, long hair, no hair. What looks beautiful to you? That is up to you to decide. But Shri Krishna says, I will come down to earth in any which way. I will be the way you want me to be. You can think of me any which way. I want to think of God as a female. Absolutely. I want to think of him as a male. All right. I want him to be very young. Okay, that's good. I want him to be very, very old. Everybody has their own sanskars. So the Vedas say he appears on earth, sometimes in the form of a very old man. Dandena vanchasi. He's walking with the help of a stick because he takes faltering steps. He can come to the world, he can come to earth in that form as well. Twan stri, twan puman, twan kumar, utava kumari, twan jirno dandena vanchasi. Maharaj, you come to this world sometimes in the form of a young lady, sometimes as a young man, sometimes as someone who is so old that he is walking with the help of a cane. So there is no restriction on age. We can fall in love with Sri Krishna any which way. We have complete freedom. So it's not difficult to love him. We only think it's difficult, but it's not difficult. Even the person we love the most in the world, when we start visualizing that person, we can't get it right. We can't think of them exactly as they are. Just take the face. Then you think, what does my daughter's face look like? Well, what is the exact color of her eyes? What does my mother look like? What is the exact size of her ears? I've never paid that much attention. And if you're not thinking of your loved one, the face of your loved one, to be exactly how it is, then you're not really thinking of your loved one. So we cannot do Rup Dhyan, we cannot think about, meditate on the one we love the most in the world. But with Sri Krishna, we have the full freedom, so we can love him any which way. We can think of him, rather, any which way. And in the world, we can love a person. We have one relationship with one person. Now, you have your father, so your father is only your father. He's not your mother also. He's only your father. You call your father mommy, and he'll say, excuse me? What kind of joke is this? You call your brother mommy or daddy, he'll say, what? I'm your brother. You call your brother your sister, and he'll say, are you out of your mind? So we have one relationship with one person. With Sri Krishna, we have all relationships with just one. We have every relationship with him. If you ask, well, can I love him as my cousin? The answer is yes. Can I love him as my grandfather? Yes. Can I love him as my brother? Yes. Sister? Yes. Mother? Yes. Father? Yes. Yes, yes, yes. There's no. So we think that it's very difficult to love God, but our scriptures tell us very easy methods, and the divine Guru explains what the scriptures are saying. I'm not saying that you can flip through the scriptures and get this knowledge. This knowledge has to come down from a saint, from the Guru. The Guru understands what is in the scriptures. So this is all in the scriptures. Nothing that I have said is coming from just, Jagat Guru Shri Kripaluji Maharaj. Everything Shri Maharaj Ji has said is from the scriptures. So the scriptures have all this knowledge, but it is not given out. Quite often it's not given out. It's given wrongly. But when you have the authority, when you have the Jagat Guru, then the Jagat Guru, Guru of Gurus, he gives the knowledge as it is in the scriptures. And you have to admit then that knowledge, which seemed so difficult, it becomes extremely easy to understand. It becomes very, very easy to understand. Simplicity is the mark of greatness. God is the greatest and how simple God is. Saints are just like God and they are so simple, so simple. The message of the scriptures is the greatest, but it is also the simplest. But you say, I don't understand the scriptures. No, you and I, we cannot understand the scriptures by reading them. We can only understand them through someone who understands them. We cannot understand. Shruti Purana Bahu Kahe Upai, Chutahi na Adhik Adhik Arujhai. Tulsidas ji says, if you go into the scriptures by yourself without any guidance from a guru, then you'll become more and more confused. The mark of a true guru, the mark of a great guru is that he makes knowledge, complicated knowledge, extremely easy to understand. When Sri Maharaj Ji was sending me and 9 others to preach back in 1987, Sri Maharaj Ji said to all of us, he sat us down and he said, the knowledge of scriptures is extremely difficult to understand. But so don't use difficult words, don't use difficult language to explain it. Make it very simple so that even a child may understand it. Do the children understand? Yes or no? Do you understand what I say to you? Yes. So even a child has to understand. When I give a lecture, quite often I ask a child sitting in the audience, sitting in the mandir, what did I say? Can you tell me? I remember once when I gave a lecture on Sharanagati. I was talking about surrendering, the need to surrender to God. And afterwards, I didn't ask any adults if they understood the lecture. I asked a 6-year-old. And I said, did you understand? And I had never seen her before. She didn't know me at all. First time. And she said, yeah, I understood. And I said, what did I say? And she said, you said that when you pray to God, you have to mean it. And I said, exactly. That's what I said. That's what I had said the whole time. The gist of that was that when you pray to God, you have to mean it. And that was what I had said. Of course, sometimes very small children, and I asked them, what did I say in my lecture? She said, you said something about dollar, chocolate, and happiness. But, children do understand. They do understand. And they have to understand. So the message has to be very simple, very simple. There is beauty in simplicity. So this knowledge that is so easy to understand, it is in the scriptures, but not each and every person can bring this out. Only a great, great master can extract that knowledge from the scriptures and give us the essence. We have the benefit of receiving that knowledge after it has been made simple. It's been simplified, now we can understand it. We are the beneficiaries of this wonderful gift that Guru gives to us. So our mind tells us, it's very difficult to love God. Forget it, chodo, jane do, ye nahi hoga. How much our mind tries to tell us this, right? We should not listen to our mind. It's not difficult to love Shri Krishna, no. And if there is an effort, of course there's an effort to get into good habits, to get into the discipline of loving Him. We need to practice loving Him, no doubt. I've already talked about sadhana, how we should be thinking of Him. We should train our mind to think of Him. That is true. That is the hard work, but it's not impossible. It is there. The method is there. We just have to employ that method. That's what we have to do. Oh, but I'm not falling in love with Him. Then you're not employing the method, are you? No, well, I'm not, I don't have time. Then you cannot say the method doesn't work. The method works, but you have to follow it. So it is very easy to fall in love with Sri Krishna, but we are not accustomed to loving Him, so we will need to practice loving Him. We don't need to practice loving the world because we are very good at doing that. We are very accustomed to loving the world. Nobody has to teach us how to love mother, father, and so on. No teacher has to tell us, listen, you must love your mother, you must love your father. We already know. The child knows already. We don't have to be taught, but we do have to be taught how to love Shri Krishna. Because although He's living inside of us, Although he has always been with us, yet he's a stranger to us. We need the Guru to break the ice. My Lord, you're sitting inside of me, but you're a stranger to me, and I need to break that ice, and the Guru does that. The Guru makes the introduction, and then we take on that, we try to work on that relationship, and we succeed, and we have to succeed, because jo tu dhave ek pag to main dhaun 60. For every baby step we take towards him, he runs 60 steps. He takes 60 quick steps, fast steps to meet us. All we have to do is to start. All we have to do is, when we start, all we have to do then is to continue. It must be a continuous build-up of relationship. We must continuously work on it, diligently working on it. Daily, we must work on this relationship, because it is the one relationship that is eternal. The relationship we have with God, it is the only relationship, one and only relationship that is true, because it is an eternal relationship. So that eternal relationship, that eternal relative, is waiting for us with arms outstretched, and all we have to do is to run into those arms, and He will give us everything we've been looking for. So what we are trying to do as sadhaks is to try every day to increase that love for Him, so that we may one day just run into His arms, and then He will give us the gifts that we cannot even imagine. Then everything that we have wanted to do will be done, and there will be nothing left to do. And then there is unlimited happiness, unlimited knowledge. Everything that God has, then He gives to us. I will continue with this topic tomorrow. Whatever I have remaining to say to you about devotion, I will say it in a nutshell. There are many precautions we need to take as we walk on this path. What are those precautions? How do we become careful so we are not just earning some points, devotional points, and then losing them, then earning them and losing them? There was a blind man in the village in India, and he was making he was taking the dried up grass, and he was fashioning it into feed that he would sell in the marketplace, making sort of a rope. And he was measuring the rope with his arms, and then he would take 1 foot of rope and he would put it behind him, and then he would do some more and he would put that behind him, and he thought he had about 20 feet of rope, that edible rope, and he would go into the marketplace and he would sell it. But when he went to gather it, there was only 1 foot of rope left. Why? Because there was a little buffalo sitting in the back, bhans ka bacha, and it was eating up all that the blind man was putting behind him. So now the blind man had nothing. In the same way, if we are doing a lot of sadhana, we are trying to love Shri Krishna, and then we are careless in the world, then what we're doing is, like the blind man, we are going to lose out on everything we have accumulated. So we need to look at precautions, we need to take precautions. That is a topic for tomorrow, which is the final talk of this series. Boliye Srimad Sadguru Sarkar ki Jai, Ladili Lal ki Jai. Are there any questions tonight? If you do have a question, please raise your hand and go ahead.
I can just ask on this, but my question is more about yesterday's topic. You had said that, a lot of times, or I think it was in response to Neil Uncle's question, you said that, we should distance ourselves from a lot of worldly people and stuff. And then also said that, people will make comments about us and be like, oh, what are you, like a sadhak? Like, are you
becoming a saint?
Yeah, stuff like that. Or like being young, like, you're a teenager, why are you doing that now? You can do that later. Like, that doesn't actually make you happy, right? And stuff like that. So my question is, like, how should we like deal with comments like that? Do we just avoid those people, or is there a way to answer it without getting in too deeply to stuff? I don't know.
Yes, well, if someone makes those comments, and if that person is a friend, and you can say, well, I get a lot out of it. I get a lot of mental peace, and I become happy by going to satsang. You can explain that. If it's someone who's not really a friend, who's just making a passing comment, you can just ignore it, ignoring that, and having still respect for that person, but just ignore it. Because what other people say about us does not define us. We are who we are. We know, you know what you're getting when you come to satsang, when you practice devotion, even at home, or when you're in college, wherever you are accustomed to thinking about Shri Krishna. And if someone makes such a comment, then you don't have to take it to heart. But if it's someone who is dear to you, you can say, but I get a lot of happiness from this, and I find that I am mentally more stable, because that's with everyone, not just you, but everyone becomes more mentally stable. I feel really good when I go to satsang, and I feel really good over there, and there's no ill effects. There's nothing, there are a lot of things that will do you some good and then they'll harm you. There's no harmful effect of satsang. There's only good things that come out of it. And sometimes when I had said this to someone who asked me a question, and I had said, no, I'll tell you something that happened many years ago. There was a couple, and the parents, they were parents to two girls, and they said, our older child is very much in touch with the Indian culture and religion, Hindu religion, but our younger daughter is not at all, so can you do something for her? And I said, I'm not a magician, but I can't just wave my wand. I don't have a wand, but I can't wave a wand and fix everything, but you have to send her to satsang. And they were very happy to. And she was very willing to. And she did come for satsang. And when they saw that she is now running towards satsang, they said, excuse me, you have to do something, that she's taking too much interest. And I said, I didn't make her take interest in satsang, and I cannot make her not take interest in satsang. These are her own sanskars. So I thought, and I was very new in doing this, so I thought people are very funny. First they wanted me to do something for her. Now they think it takes too much interest in satsang. What do? I did not force her to come to satsang. I will not force her to leave satsang. It is what it is. I will tell you another thing. There was a gentleman who called me, and he said, Didi ji, can you please do something for my wife? Do something to make her not go to your satsang so much. And I said, excuse me, what? And this happened. So when people, I think sometimes friends feel that, my friend is slipping away, parents feel their child is slipping away, children feel their parents are slipping away. That has also happened. I was with a family and their daughter started crying one day, and I was staying with them, and I asked the mother, why is she crying? She said, she's crying because she thinks that I'm going to leave home with you. When you leave from here, I'm going to leave with you. And I said, what gave her that idea? And I told her, I'm not taking your mother with you. I'm with me. Don't worry about it. Your mother is your mother. So there's a fear that sometimes is there inside. So it depends on who it is. Then sometimes such comments are made by people who don't understand. They may not know what satsang is all about, and you're different now, you never used to, but then say that all the goodness in me that has come up, I attribute a lot of that to satsang. So is it a wrong place for me to go? Is it a wrong thing for me to do? And sometimes you don't have to give an explanation. It depends on who is talking to you. Okay? You're welcome.
Didi ji, I have a question on destiny. So you mentioned about destiny, right? कि जितना किस्मत में है उतना मिलेगा. It depends on your past karmas, and you don't need to go to God for help. You don't need to ask God for help. But there are certain instances where, like, I'm trying to find a new job. I do reach out to my peers. I reach out to my friends and my family. Just saying, help me out with a resume, or if you have something in your company, help me out,
Yes.
get my resume pushed.
And you should.
Yeah. So if we can reach out to our friends and family, God is also part of our family, right? I mean, we can consider God as a sakha, as your child, as your parent. So what's the harm in reaching out to God and asking for help?
People like Draupadi and Gajraj, these personalities, they did ask help from God. Gajraj wanted God to save his life. Draupadi wanted Sri Krishna to save her honor. They did ask, but they had accepted God to be their everything. We are not at the stage yet. We accept him as Sakha or as our father or mother. First, we must work at accepting him. We say, you're my mother, you're my father, but we know we're saying it. We don't really mean it. We don't give him the importance we give to our biological mother and father. That is the truth. So first we must accept him as our own. Then we can ask, like Gajraj did, like Draupadi did, like these others did. They're known as Sakam Bhakt. They're known as selfish devotees. But they're devotees. If we ask him for this and that, for help, we're not selfish devotees. We're just selfish. Take out the devotees part, because we're not devotees yet. So that's why we think it would be okay, but first we need to accept him as everything. Then we actually then have the right to ask him. Of course, we should still not ask him, but at least then, like Draupadi asked, Gajraj asked, these are real devotees who didn't want anything in the world. They didn't want anything else from God, but did ask for him to save life. And then there was Kubja. She wanted her own happiness from Sri Krishna. So these are all devotees. So we are working towards becoming devotees. And if we start to ask now or keep asking, we will never reach that place, reach that stage of being devotees. That's why. Good question. Very good. Yes, Arnav. No, go ahead. Yeah.
Just like off of that, why did they ask then if there's no happiness in the world and they already attained ultimate bliss? Yeah.
These personalities were in fact just teaching us not to do that. They were just saying that, these are leelas of Bhagwan, and they teach us certain lessons, and we also learn what not to do. So Gajraj did ask, and perhaps it was to teach us that when someone who is a devotee asks God for something, he will get it. But someone who's not a devotee will never get it because he has not accepted God. He's just saying, he's mouthing the words, you are my all in all, but he doesn't really believe it. So these people, they didn't need him to save their life or anything or save the honor. They become examples of what not to do. You're a devotee now, and you should not ask like Draupadi did. You should not ask, even if your life is in danger, don't ask. So this is why Draupadi is not our role model. Although she's God realized, but she's not role model for those who really wish to practice selfless devotion, because she was not selfless. And even Kubja is not. She had the desire. She didn't want anyone in the world. She wanted only Lord Krishna. But she said, please stay with me. I want you to stay with me and give me happiness. So even that is selfish. And so even Kubja is not our role model. So they perform these pastimes for certain reasons, but we are not to follow them. Ji.
So, Didi ji, Radhe Radhe, I would like to know that how do we assess when we are in a path of devotion or loving to God that we are going in a right direction? Are there any indications or something which we start noticing in ourselves or the people around us, they are following us in the same path? And then is there any like a step 1, step 2, step 3 type of assessment we can get while we are on this path to understand we are in the right direction or not?
It's an excellent question. That was the answer will be given tomorrow, actually. That's my lecture tomorrow. My talk is on that. Part of that is I'm going to be talking about that in detail. How do we know we are in improving? We are actually following the path correctly. So if you don't mind, I'll talk about it tomorrow. I know you'll be here tomorrow. Certainly. That's fine. That's good.
Didiji, one last question. So towards the end, you mentioned about that example of a rope, right? And the rope got eaten away by
Yes.
a calf.
That's the word I was looking for, calf. I was saying baby buffalo or something like that.
Bhains ka bachcha.
Bhains ka bachcha, I said in Hindi, because that's what the example I heard, like that, bhains ka bachcha baitha tha.
So Didiji, what are some examples of the rope being eaten away by a calf?
Oh, examples of, you mean, what does that really mean for us? It means that, okay, I've done my sadhana for 1 hour or 2 hours. I've come outside and I get a phone call and I'm gossiping. I just threw that down the toilet, flushed it down the toilet. All that accumulation of devotion, I just threw it away because I did something I was not supposed to do. Or I got really, I thought a lot about the world and just got totally engaged in the world. I got angry, or, I got really good and angry, really very angry at, someone in the family or at someone. So I lost that, the calf has eaten the rope. I just, so doing something that goes totally against the principles of devotion, that destroys what we are accumulating. Okay, welcome. Yes.
Radhe Radhe Didiji. Destiny. You said everything is not destiny.
Yes.
Can you give some example of what's destiny, what's not, where we are making a choice and building more action? Not action, action, yes.
When we're making our choices, deciding.
Yeah, because sometimes we'll say, mere naseeb mein tha ya nahi tha.
So the Ramayana says, Kadar man kahu ek adhara, daiva daiva alasi pukara. That, only the lazy and careless ones cry over destiny. So the point is that we should not even think about destiny. We have no way of knowing. But sometimes we get a hint. For instance, if someone is trying very hard to have a good business, let's say, to flourish in business, and she's trying very, very hard, and she's not succeeding. There is nothing more this person can do, this businesswoman. Now, it's not in her destiny, let's say. I tried so hard, but I didn't pass. I didn't succeed, let's say. Okay, well, I tried my best, and I guess it was not in my destiny. Where the effort is tremendous, and you still don't meet with success, then you kind of guess that's not destined for me. But there's nothing else I could have done, right? So, but then we're not to think about destiny, because main thing we need to think about is what we can do now in this life. What actions I can perform in this life. Not think about what I did in the past, because the past is history. Someone has said the past is history, future is a mystery, but the present is a real gift. So the present is what we need to look at, the present actions. They're called kriyaman karma. Those are the actions that are very exciting for us, helpful to us. We must think about only those. We cannot undo what the decisions we took in the past, what we did in the past, but we can now make our wise choices and perform the actions that will help us in the future. So no point. That's it. Yes, exactly. Don't even think about destiny. A lot of people spend a lot of time, effort, money to go and what's in my destiny. And it doesn't matter. It's of no consequence.
I just wanted to go back to the first lecture where you talked about the three paths, karma, jnana, and bhakti. Would you please remind me again, where does yoga fit into the paths?
Yeah, good point. Yoga is almost like the path of Gyan. That's where it fits in. Yoga is like Gyan, very much like that. So when the scriptures talk about Gyan, they also mean yoga. Like yoga is a difficult path, and Patanjali, the propagator of yoga system of philosophy, he said, if you find this path very difficult to follow, then do one thing, and that is Ishvara Pranidhanadva, just surrender to God. So even he says, if this path is very difficult, you're finding it tough, don't worry about it, just surrender to him. In other words, do bhakti. So, but yoga is just like Gyan.
So, Didi, is any in the past history saint reached through the yoga and any other path to the God abode?
Do you mean without devotion?
Without devotion, yes.
Oh no, they cannot be, never, ever. Not in the past, not in the future, not in the present. So no, it cannot happen, because what is in the scriptures is for people of all, for all times. So that does not change. Devotion is necessary. It was necessary yesterday, today, and tomorrow. So Trisatyasya Bhakti Deva Gariyasi. Narad Muni says that in the past, present, and the future, in all the three tenses, devotion is supreme. So we cannot do without devotion. We were never able to reach the God without resorting to devotion. So that is the way it always has been, and that is the way it always will be. Yes.
So, Didiji, I had a question. So you mentioned that we shouldn't want anything from God, right?
Yes.
And so, is it right in the way to think that God is doing everything? So if let's say I pass this exam, it's you. If I fail this exam, it's also you. You're doing everything. So I have no business in this. Is that a right way to think of it?
Halfway right. So if I pass, it is your grace that you've enabled me to pass, in the sense that you've given me a mind with which to think, and you have given me this intelligence, so I have passed this. But I have failed because of my own shortcomings. So don't give your failures to God, but give him your success. Give him credit for success. That's how you should think. That I'm a human. I have made mistakes, or I have my own shortcomings, and I lack in this way, and so it's my fault. But when I succeed, I give the credit to God. I give credit to you because you're the one who enables me to do everything.
Thank you so much.
You're most welcome. Let's offer bhog now. Can two people come and offer the bhog? Can somebody help them? If somebody has come. These two wonderful devotees, you can sit down and do, or you can stand. But keep one thing in mind, and that is always just concentrate on Radha and Krishna as you're offering food, okay? Okay, girls? अब ना और तरसाओ रसिया, आओ आओ भोग लगाओ रसिया। अब ना और तरसाओ रसिया, यद्यपि यह सच है, नहीं तुम कहाँ, यद्यपि यह सच है, नहीं तुम कहाँ। भूख प्यास लागती रसिया, भूख प्यास लागती रसिया, भूख प्यास लागती रसिया, भूख प्यास
तदपि भाव वश ब्रज छछिया लगी चोरी करत फिर्यो रसिया तदपि भाव वश ब्रज छछिया लगी चोरी करत फिर्यो रसिया भाव भरा केले का छिलका भाव भरा केले का छिलका विदुरानी घर खायो रसिया विदुरानी घर खायो रसिया विदुरानी घर खायो रसिया विदुरानी घर खायो रसिया भावहीन दुर्योधन व्यंजन नहीं तुक मन भायो रसिया भावहीन दुर्योधन व्यंजन नहीं तुक मन भायो रसिया अब ना और तरसाओ रसिया आओ आओ भोग लगाओ रसिया अब नार तरसाओ रसिया आओ भोग लगाओ रसिया जो रस शबरी के झूठे मुख जो रस शबरी के झूठे मुख फेर खाए पायो रसिया फेर खाए पायो रसिया फेर खाए पायो रसिया फेर खाए पायो रसिया जनकपुरी से राज भोग महा सोरस नहीं पायो रसिया जनकपुरी से राज भोग महा सोरस नहीं पायो रसिया हो मानत हो भावहीन हो मानत हो भावहीन हो सुनो खरी खरी रसिया सुनो खरी खरी रसिया सुनो खरी खरी रसिया सुनो खरी खरी रसिया सत कृपालु पयतियो एक नहीं याद अब आ जाओ रसिया सत कृपालु पयतियो पूत नहीं याद अब आ जाओ रसिया रसिया हो रसिया मेरे मन रसिया 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 मेरे मन रसिया रसिया हो रसिया मेरे मन बसिया 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 अब ना और तरसाओ रसिया अब ना और तरसाओ रसिया अब ना और तरसाओ रसिया भोग लगाओ रसिया अब ना और तरसाओ रसिया भोग लगाओ रसिया आओ आओ भोग लगाओ रसिया आओ भोग लगाओ रसिया बोलिए श्याम रसिया की जय श्रीमद सतगुरु सरकार की जय
Radhe Radhe. Before we do aartis, just a couple of announcements. So very nice to see everyone today, and thank you so much, DDG. Just want to remind you that DDG has graciously offered to answer any questions, speak one-on-one with anyone who's interested, but if you could please just do so before you proceed to the dinner hall for dinner prashad. And the other announcement is tomorrow is the deadline for signing up for the boat trip. It's going to be an awesome time. Also want to mention that this is a gift from ShyamaShyamDham to those who want to join us. There's still a few slots left, so if you could please either sign up on the sign-up sheet on the table behind you, or let Nikki know who's standing over there. That would be much appreciated. Please invite your friends, families, others as well. Radhe Radhe.
Please stand for Atis. This is fine. जयति जगद गुरु गुरुवर की गाओ मिले आरती रसिक वर की गाओ गाओ मिले आरती रसिक वर की गुरुपद नखमणि चंद्रिका प्रकाश जाके उर बसे ताके भोग कमनाश जाके माथ नाथ तब हाथ करे वास ताते होए माया मोह सब ही निराश पावे गति मति रति राधा वर की गाओ मिले आरती रसिक वर की गाओ गाओ मिले आरती रसिक वर की अरे मन मूढ़ चार नारी नर हाथ गुरु बिनु ब्रह्म श्याम हम न देंगे साथ कोमल कृपाल बड़े कृपा सिंधुनाथ पाके इन्हें आज तो अनाथ हो सनाथ इन्हीं के आधीन कृपा गिरिधर की गाओ मिले आरती रसिक वर की गाओ गाओ मिले आरती रसिक वर की भक्ति योग रस अवतार अभिराम करे निगमागम समन्वय रहा श्यामा श्याम नाम लीला गुण धाम बाँट रहे प्रेम निष्काम विनुदाम हो रही सकल काया नारी नर की गाओ मिले आरती रसिक वर की गाओ गाओ मिले आरती रसिक वर की नहीं लाल लीला का सलोना सुविलास छाया दिव्य दृष्टि विच प्रेम का प्रकाश वैसा ही विनोद वही मंजू मृदुहास करे बस बर बस उच्च अट्टहास झूमी चले चाल बही नटवर की गाओ मिले आरती रसिक वर की गाओ गाओ मिले आरती रसिक वर की जयति जगत गुरु गुरुवर की गाओ मिले आरती रसिक वर की गाओ गाओ मिले आरती रसिक वर की आरती प्रीतम प्यारी की बनवारी मतवारी की आरती प्रीतम प्यारी की बनवारी मतवारी की गुण सिर कनक मुकुट
झलके दुहुन श्रुति कुंडल हल हलके दुहुन त्रिक प्रेम सुधा छलके जसीले बैन रसीले नैन गसीले सैन दुहुन मैन मन हारी की बनवारी नखवारी की आरती प्रीतम प्यारी की बनवारी नखवारी की दुहुन दृग चित बनी पर भारी दुहुन नट नट कनी छुरी प्यारी दुहुन मटकनी अति प्यारी रसन मुस्कान हसन मुस्कान दसन दम कान दुहुन बेसर छवि न्यारी की बनवारी नखवारी की आरती प्रीतम प्यारी की बनवारी नखवारी की एक और पीतांबर खहरे एक और नीलांबर लहरे दुहुन और मोतिन चहरे कंगनन खनक किनकिनी झनक दुहुरन खनक दुहुन रुन चुन दुनी प्यारी की बनवारी नखवारी की आरती प्रीतम प्यारी की बनवारी नखवारी की एक सिर मोर मुकुट राजे एक सिर चुनरी छवि छाजे दुहुन सिर तिरछे भल भ्राजे संग ब्रज बाल लाडली लाल बादल डाल कृपालु दुहुन त्रिगचारी की बनवारी नखवारी की आरती प्रीतम प्यारी की बनवारी नखवारी की आरती प्रीतम प्यारी की बनवारी नखवारी की। बोलिए वृंदावन बिहारी लाल की जय। रासेश्वरी राधा रानी की जय। बोलिए युगल सरकार की जय। जगत गुरु उत्तम श्री कृपालु जी महाराज की जय। जय जय श्री राधे जय जय श्री राधे जय जय श्री राधे। Before you come forward to accept Aarti, just something that is it's not very important, but important enough, I think. When you come to perform Aarti, please don't stand so far back that the person in the front doesn't know that you are. Because sometimes a person may put the Aarti on the altar, sometimes a person turns around and gives the Aarti. And of course, God doesn't mind anything. But a lot of people get very... we're used to doing things one way, and it's good to keep the tradition going. So the Aarti should not really go in the back. We should not turn around with it. And the person, if you can just get closer to the person, they can see you from the corner of their eyes, that would be great. You're not rushing them, but you're not standing very far away from them. Just a small thing, but just something precaution to take. Please come take Aarti and Prasad.